Hi everyone, Timothy Ferris here with a few words about equality. And I have in mind the political discussions that really throughout my entire lifetime have consisted of groups using the same words but with different definitions to talk past each other about political issues. In the liberal tradition, and you know in these talks I always use liberal and liberalism to mean what is sometimes called classical liberalism, that is the founding philosophy of the United States and the other liberal democracies that have had so much success in the world. In liberalism, the stress is on equal opportunity. The equality is of opportunity. And the idea of liberalism is that people have human rights and otherwise are left maximally free to do as they see fit, so long as they don't trespass on the rights of others. Liberalism has for generations now been the world's most successful and most popular political philosophy. The term equality is also used by the socialist left, and there they have in mind not equality of opportunity, although they certainly support that, but equality of outcome. In their view, the state should be empowered, no matter how powerful the state may have to become to achieve this end, to create equal outcomes. So liberalism, equality of opportunity; socialist left, equality of outcomes. And one of the arguments of those on the left in favor of this is that it's difficult to know how successful one has been in equalizing opportunity unless you also get equal outcomes. This is, of course, very difficult to attain, and perhaps not even a good idea to try to attain, because people aren't equal in every respect. They differ tremendously. That's really the strength of humans and other species of mammals, that individual differences contribute to the creativity and richness of the society as a whole. Because of the difficulty in enforcing this kind of equality of outcome, we've seen many on the left attempting even to oppose competition in things like sports. This seems to me to be a mistake. The term competition comes from the Latin meaning to pull together. It is by competing that everyone finds that they can do better than if they weren't competing. And there's no horrible shame associated with losing a competition in sports or anything else. The young man from the Harlem Chargers who ended my flag football career when he blocked me and separated my rib cage was one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I had great respect for him. He was very nice to me. I don't hold any grudge, and it was actually quite a good game. It just happened to be the last. I don't really see any harm in competition and the fact that somebody's going to win something as trivial as a sporting event. Leftists critique competition based in part on an assumption or an assertion on their part that groups always count for more than individuals. But is that really true? Lynch mob is a group. They're all intent on a particular goal. It doesn't mean they have a right to do it or that it would be a good outcome. The individual rights count for more than the passions of a group. That's the basis of liberal thinking. Both liberal and socialist thinkers have championed the rights of women and minorities, but the liberal democracies have made more progress in getting rid of the forms of discrimination that had afflicted all societies. If you don't think so, just take a look, for instance, at a photo of the Politburo, say, of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, in which massive power of the state was harnessed to bring about equalities of outcome, including equal participation of women and minorities. Look at a photo of the leadership, sometimes hundreds of people in the photo, the USSR. See how many women and minorities are there. Or you can do the same thing with China today. Look at the Communist Party gatherings, thousands of people in a single room. How many women and minorities are there? Meanwhile, the liberal democracies are flawed, of course. These are genuine problems, and all systems have problems, by the way. Pointing out a problem doesn't invalidate an entire system. But they've come much further in this regard. You may have heard, for instance, that, things are bad in the U.S. because women only make something like 70 or 80% of the amount that men do for doing the same jobs. But that's false. It's a violation of federal law to pay women less to do the same jobs. Women as a whole make less money than men do in the United States these days, although the gap is closing, for a number of reasons, including to some degree prejudice. but also having to do with individual choices about how people want to live their lives. So the argument that opportunity would be improved if a mammoth state apparatus were put to work, making sure that every outcome was equal and stamping out any occasion in which somebody might lose out to someone else, seems to me to be one that has already been disproven in practice. Finally, I'd like to look at what I think is such an important element of human life over the last 400 years, and that's been experimentation. I'll try to do a lecture on the subject, but just briefly, the thing that has made science so successful, so that we live in a world now in which people are healthier, they live longer, they're freer, they're wealthier than ever before. The reason for that success in just scientific terms is that science isn't just rational, it's based on experimentation. More than one rational theory can be constructed for a given phenomenon. What determines which of the two, if either, is more accurate is the verdict of experimentation. Liberal democracy was founded on the scientific method. The idea was that a small government that works primarily to guarantee equality of opportunity will promote more experimentation, and that'll be good for people as a whole. And that's just what has happened. Here in the United States, for instance, 600,000 new companies are founded each year. Each is an experiment, a version of reality that one or more persons is putting forth that they think will be better than what's come before. Most fail, usually without terrible consequences. Typical companies founded in someone's garage with just a few $1,000s in savings. Some do okay, and some do spectacularly well, creating the great wealth for their founders, to which the socialist left is so quick to object. But without that experimentation, if you have the state monitoring everything and insisting that the outcome be, in the end, what the state thinks it has to be, then you lose or discourage or diminish the degree of experimentation as possible. That's why I think that as a matter of clear historical verdict, equality of opportunity has done far better than equality of outcome. Hey, thanks for listening. See you next time.